And now some stories from the news this week. A majority of Californians support AB 32, the state's controversial global warming law, despite concerns about its impact on the economy. A nonprofit group that supports green technology commissioned the field poll released this week. It shows 58% of registered voters support the bill, which would require significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions by 2020. A group of Texas oil companies is pushing for a November ballot initiative to delay the law's implementation until the economy recovers. The landmark bill was signed by Governor Schwarzenegger in 2006. Lawmakers in Sacramento have passed a bill to exempt borrowers from being taxed on forgiven debt, such as a foreclosed home or a short sale. The bill is expected to be signed by the governor and would affect some 100,000 residents who might otherwise owe thousands of dollars in state taxes. BART riders could get a break from fare increases and cuts in service. Fares might even be reduced temporarily. The transit agency had projected a multi-million-dollar deficit, but it has reduced costs and expects to receive $26 million from the reinstated Transit Assistance Program. BART raised fares and reduced service last July. Joining me now is Carla Marinucci, political reporter with the San Francisco Chronicle, with an update on California campaigns and the upcoming election. Welcome, Carla.
Hi,
we just heard from Senator Feinstein that immigration is becoming a major issue, not just for the U.S. Senate, but for gubernatorial candidates. Let's talk about some of the candidates' approach to the issue.
You know, this has been the issue if you look on the Republican side of the gubernatorial race this year, Ysabel, and it's really striking. We've got Steve Poizner, the state insurance commissioner, who's out there with ads talking about how all services to undocumented immigrants should be cut. He's got an ad showing a car going over a cliff, talking about California. Meg Whitman on the other side, the former CEO of eBay, is also saying that undocumented immigrant students should not be allowed to go to the UC system. I mean, this is an issue. There's no doubt about it. It's interesting that when you think about illegal immigration is down in California because of the economic situation, this really isn't on top of the agenda when you talk about issues that voters are most concerned about. When you ask them what they're most concerned about, it's jobs, economy, healthcare. But undocumented immigrants play into this whole thing because of the worries about the economy. And so both these conservative Republicans are trying to out-conservative each other on this issue of on illegal immigration. It's been very, very striking to see the rhetoric.
Like the third rail here that's driving part of the conversation in this state.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing it in the U.S. Senate race too, but I think this is really striking. I mean, a good example, Steve Poizner, He's come out with a book. He actually was a teacher in East San Jose at Mount Pleasant High School.
Heavily Latino.
A heavily Latino school. Yeah. And he's taking some heat because in the book he kind of talks about the needs of these students, and yet he's out there on the campaign trail saying they should be cut off of even health care. Obviously, according to federal law, that can't be done, but...
There was a protest in front of the store where he was signing books, and there were more people in the protest than were inside buying the book, although I understand it has reached the New York Times bestseller list.
Number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list. Poizner's going to need all the help he can get.
What is going on in the state where you have this, not only a large Latino population, but a Democratic electorate larger than Republican, and yet this is an issue that they're really going after very heavily?
They're heavily playing. It all has to do with the June primary coming up. Meg Whitman is spending so much money in this race. That's one of the things that's driving this, I think. That Steve Poizner has got to get some kind of traction with those Republican voters. He's got to get some kind of attention, and the way to do that is to talk about an issue which some of them are very, very passionate. Meg Whitman this week put in another $20 million into the gubernatorial campaign. And her money, frankly, is just swamping everything that's out there. And for Poizner, his one shot, he's a guy who's not poor himself. I mean, he's got $15 million in the race.
It seems paltry compared to what she's put in.
In any other state, this would be a huge amount of money. In California this year, it's not, because Meg Whitman has put in a total of $59 million. She is spending $150,000 a day in this campaign. That's more than Jerry Brown, the Democrat, has spent the entire year.
And now all the polls show Jerry Brown and Meg Whitman even.
That's right. You know, and this is going to be a challenge, and we're now starting to see this challenge that's shaping up as we're heading toward this primary. We saw Jerry Brown today down at Google in Mountain View, and he said this, look, this race is going to be all about money, and he is just not going to have the kind of money that Meg Whitman has. He's going to have to rely on help from some of the biggest unions in California. He's going to have to rely on grassroots help, internet help. But when you're talking about the kind of money that Meg Whitman has, a study has come out this week, Ysabel, that showed she has spent more already than all of the gubernatorial candidates around the country for the last 2 years combined. That's the kind of race we're going for.
We have about
California.
45 seconds, and we must talk about the ad that came out against Jerry Brown. It was
yes,
the California
Chamber of Commerce put out a $1 million ad campaign, done in another state, by the way, so the California Chamber is supposed to be supporting California. They actually outsourced the campaign. But Brown immediately got ahead of this. He called chamber executive people. They took it down within about a day, but they were accusing Jerry Brown of being anti-Prop 13. It turns out, if people remember, the chamber was, Governor Pete Wilson were, a lot of people were anti-Prop 13 back when it was first passed.
Race is heating up.
Absolutely.
Lot more to go. Thank you, Carla.